You know, look at me, I'm an artist now. By the way, hi everybody.
Oh, that's a cool effect.
I am pushing.
Hello.
I am
Hello.
pushing. Hello, everyone. I am pushing the button, but it's not changing. I'm gonna do that little hack with the copy and paste thing again because for some reason the video's not working again. Hello, everybody. Bobby, keep the people entertained while I figure this out.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Danny. We are so
tell them
happy you guys
tell
are
them
here.
what we were just talking about.
We were talking about what is art, and if anybody can call anything art, is it art?
Hmm.
And David says no. David says that for it to be art, it has to be something that just makes your jaw drop right then and there. Just stops you in your
Or
tracks, and you're like, oh
yeah,
shit,
stops you in
I
your
have to stay
tracks.
here and I
Yeah,
have to appreciate this.
right. So yeah, it's an interesting discussion. So yeah, it is. Yeah, and I guess my problem with conceptual art is that if anyone can be an artist, then what's the point of having an artist in the first place, right?
Right,
So
right. Speaking about art and effort being put in, I read I guess it was a blog post. TLDR, too long didn't read,
yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So he came up with the concept AIDR. And his idea was basically, or his thesis was that there's a social contract between the fact that if you took the time to write something, that means that, or excuse me, it takes more time to write something than it does to read something. And if
Mm,
somebody's written something, you should give it fair
right.
effort to read it and be like, okay, I'll give you some judgment. But when it comes to AI, he basically says, why
Right.
should I read something that you couldn't be bothered to write?
There you go.
You
There
know?
you go.
So yeah, AI art, if art, um, things produced
Yeah.
by AI is not, there's no humanity there. So,
Right.
and you didn't put any effort. And I guess that goes to the same thing if you take a shit in a can, as we were talking, or a bottle.
Right. The artist shit, canning their shit. Yeah, there is no humanity. And I once did a little experiment. And by the way, I just want to quickly understand because I
Hey
checked the
Jasmine,
chat.
hey Spin, hey Nick.
Sorry.
Oh, just saying hi to
Oh
some of the
yes,
people in the
I was
chat.
reading and everybody was saying nice things, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry I didn't reply, but I'm going to get there. Um, yeah, I think I did an experiment. Very rarely, and I really mean like maybe 3 times in my entire life, have I ever written a letter of recommendation to a student.
Oh,
And it's not because I'm a mean person. It's just that, I have incredibly high standards. And I don't very easily associate my name with another person. So, unless I've gotten to know that person, extremely well.
right.
Anyway, I I was writing a letter of recommendation, and right as I got to the end, I was just like, "Oh, you know what? I could have asked ChatGPT to do that." And then I immediately said, "Are you kidding? Like what are you joking?" And then I thought, "Let's test it out. Let's see." And it was the shittiest piece of slop garbage. It was awful. And so I think where AI has its place in the world, and we're going to get into DAW talk in a minute. By the way, we're going to talk about that because I want to talk about that. AI is sort of, I think of it as like the ultimate aggregator of information, with an application as well. So in other words, I was one of our clients that we do regular work with, had suggested a certain style that I was not really good at, and it was that I played it maybe a month ago on the stream. The really fast, almost 300 beats per minute
Oh, right,
jazz,
right.
right? Super fast. I'm not that good at it, right? And I thought, oh crap, if they really want this, I better know how to do it. And so I literally like downloaded every single brass library imaginable. And then I was experimenting and writing and, doing all this incredible stuff. And I was like, sometimes I'd spend like 45 minutes on literally like 2/8 notes, in a
Right,
melodic
right.
phrase, but they were
Yeah.
important, right? So here's where AI, it didn't help me at all, but a friend of mine and colleague heard it, and this guy's like a genius, and he's got Suno, and he's got everything, and he's
Right.
incredible, and we've collaborated on things over the years, and he was just like, oh my god, that's a great track, I'd love to just see what I can do with Suno, right? And so he took it in. For those that don't know, or is it Suno
Suno is one of them, right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
AI DAW basically.
Right.
So for those that don't know, it's an AI DAW. And so he took my track and he sort of, told AI do what I asked him to do. I said, can you make it more like kind of like Cab Calloway, more, 1930s kind of swing, early 40s. And anyway, so, he did that and then he submitted 4 different tracks. And what AI did that I could not do was phrased, it took my melody, it was still my melody, but added on ornamentations, I guess we could call them, that I never would have thought of even to try, wouldn't have thought. And this is where AI is extremely beneficial to the artist
Right.
because it can
Right.
literally say to you, hey, instead of babadoo ba da, what about doo you know, and you wouldn't have thought of that. And then you
Right.
go, oh crap. Now, I didn't wind up taking any of what AI did and I didn't implement it. It was only, I only listened to the tracks after the fact. But what I understood was the potential of where AI can help the artist, especially those artists that claim to have writer's block, which I don't believe in writer's block. I'm just saying I don't think it's real. I think it's just an excuse to the artist to be lazy. But anyway, we are going to try on our stream to be more attentive to the chat because, especially me, I'm terrible. I ignore it. Okay, so Spin, my opinion of Suno is that it's a tool and it's a good
Right.
tool. I do not think Suno is a replacement. I think it's a way for artists to enhance what they do naturally and to assist the artist. And look, if you look at art history and you look at the camera obscura, which was this old Renaissance device that was essentially
Right.
just a lens that would essentially, they basically built a human camera, and the subject would sit and it would it would be upside down, and then the artist would just trace. This is why these Renaissance portraits are so photorealistic, because they had Photoshop. So what are we going to now say that Michelangelo and Raffaello and Botticelli are all frauds because they used the something that assisted the artist, right? Are we going to
Right.
call you know Beethoven a fraud because he couldn't play every instrument in the orchestra? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
artists use their technology, right?
Right.
So are we going to say that Aphex Twin is not a genius, like sublime genius of like electronic music? Are we going to say that Daft Punk are frauds? Right. So the point is AI's been with us for a long time. It's just we're now calling it AI, and it's been aggregated into a very simple system. That's my opinion. I'm going to work backwards here now. That's fair because the more we lower standards, settling with complacency, meaning as okay, agreed. No thought process, no meaning, no intention, or deeper thought to be interpreted. Just random nonsense. Well, I assume you're talking about AI, Nick, but
Right.
I would give it a little more than that because I think in controlled environments it can just be a tool for the artist, nothing more. I don't think it's the ends to a means though. I really don't. Like, I don't think artists can ever be replaced because AI can only analyze everything up to the specious present. The
Right.
minute I snap my fingers is the specious present, and then it's immediately the past. And that's all AI can do. It can try and calculate the future, but it'll never be able to sit down and, with the top jazz players on earth, Chick Corea and Pat Metheny and John Patitucci and Vinnie Colaiuta or Dave Weckl on drums or Steve Gadd or whoever, take your pick, and play a saxophone solo in real time. It can't do that. It literally can't. Therefore, it can never replace, in my opinion. So,
Today's version, right?
yeah, it's anyway. Hello, everybody, and for all your nice comments. So, I say we move on over to the DAW talk.
Let's talk about DAWs.
Where do you want to go with this, Bobby?
So the reason why I bring it up is the it started with Christian Henson put out a video saying he's switching over to Reaper now because he's like Logic is just he's like
Right,
I'm done with it.
right.
It's just Apple is ignoring it, filling it with AI bullshit and the subscription model and it's just he's like it's it's neglected. They don't care. They're not putting stuff in for the artist, for the musician. And he's like, I'm gonna try to go to Reaper.
Yeah.
And I wonder, where are we with DAWs? in general. Um, because yeah, one of my biggest frustrations with Logic is the updates are few and far between, and when they, there's nothing really meaningful. Like if you look at Cubase updates, every year they come out with a bunch of stuff. People can vote on them on their forums. Yes, you have to pay for that $100 a year, but at least you get that. And Apple's whole thing was you pay for the software once and then you pay
That's
for our
right.
hardware every 4 or 5 years, right? Or you're stuck with
Yep.
us. And that was their way to keep you in the
And they were
ecosystem.
faithful to
Now it's
that
turning
for a
into
long time.
subscriptions and stuff. So I wonder, where are you with Logic? I know you just found a new thing and you have fallen back in love, but overall, where are you with Logic? What do you think? Where are we with DAWs in general?
Yeah.
Um,
I think,
yeah,
yeah, I
thoughts and
mean,
feelings.
here's what I'll say about that. I think that, okay, so for Logic specifically, they seem to, yeah, it's become sickening what they're doing. Um, they are now, they are now showcasing producer packs, right? Get the Bobby
Right.
Bandari producer pack. Get the David Logan. I'm joking. We don't have producer packs in there, but like they're showcasing. Get this Well, why would I want to use anybody's producer pack? Why would I not want to be the producer? Isn't that the whole fucking point of Logic? Is that it puts the power of production in your hands? So then why are you giving me all this slop garbage? Completely generic, right?
Yeah.
It's all generic. It's all, literally designed for the lowest common denominator producer, you know, and I, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of like genius level bedroom producers, and I've taught some of
Right.
them,
Right.
but there was an art, to beat making, an art that I very, very painfully learned over a period of about 5 or 10 years, that I perfected when I was living in Los Angeles. And that art is gone now. It's dead. And nobody knows how to make beats anymore. They know how to combine elements
Right.
of existing loops and bits and pieces, and they cut it together. And, you know, and so when you look at what, like, what the hell are they called now? Splice, right? Splice.com,
Yeah.
who, acquired Spitfire, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. They have producer packs, right? Get the blah, blah, blah producer pack. Get this
Right.
person's pack. You can download it and then use it in your song royalty
And you can
free.
sound just like them.
And you can sound just like them.
Why?
Yeah, right, Bobby. And why would I want to sound just like them? Because I have no creative ideas of my
Right.
own. And by the way, it's royalty free, but we're also going to sue you and get content ID to flag any of the stuff you're using from splice.com. And then we're going to take the royalties for that. Thank you very much. So, yeah, royalty free. You don't have to pay a royalty to use it. But if your
Right.
song becomes a #1 hit, oh, believe me, we're taking our cut. And it's happening. Not only that, two people will use the same melodic loop and they both get flagged by content ID.
Right.
And people are shooting themselves in the foot by using these plugins and services that do it for you, right? Now, so my whole thing about like, and by the way, for those, yeah, Nick, you got it. Bravo,
Right.
Nick.
Right.
Nick just said it. David said, make your own samples. You're damn right, because there is literally only one Dal Samba on earth, and it's mine, and I get to use it. There's only one Astroid Dal Samba. Only people on the stream are going to know what an Astroid Dal Samba is. There's only one on earth, and it's mine, and then some of the beats I made, like specifically the beat in Pinky's Boss, that's my orchestral military snare mixing with a John Bonham drum beat. Only
Right.
one on earth, and it's mine. And that's why Pac-Man World 2 sounds like Pac-Man World 2 and doesn't sound like Metal Gear Solid. It doesn't sound like that. It
Right.
sounds like Pac-Man
Right.
World 2 because that's what I did. So my emotion is necessary for art, and can AI create emotion? Jasmine, I love the question. I think I applaud you for it. It's true. Emotion is needed for art. I think that AI can mimic and simulate and create emotion 100%. I think it can create emotion. I think
agree.
it cannot create authentic emotion. That's what I don't think it can do. I don't think it can do, like what I said, it cannot play the saxophone and jam with, John Patitucci, Chick Corea, Dave Weckl and Pat Metheny. It can't do that, right?
But neither
So
can you or I.
also true. But if I
Right.
ask it to spit out a solo in the style of Charlie Parker, it can do that. It can do
Right.
it,
Right.
And even if I analyze some chord progressions by Chick Corea, for those that don't know, Chick Corea is one of the greatest keyboardists, of all time, jazz guy. And I analyze progressions and I give it in and I say, Suno, now give me a sax solo in the style of Charlie Parker. It can do
can.
that. It can do
And it
that,
will.
right?
Right.
So I don't know. I guess.
So is that then
Sorry. Spin, you got me. There's only one Dalsamba, but everyone can use aft pipe E. That's a good one, Spin. Very inside humor for this stream, I would even argue. That
right?
was a good one. That was a good one. I got to give you the official fist bump for that one. That was a good one. Go on, Bobby.
Well, I'll say something else regarding Logic and producer packs and this idea of sounding. So I think producer packs are designed to bring more people in, right? They want to lower the barrier to entry. So they're like, listen, you can just click a few of these together and then you'll have the sound and you'll have a song. Very much like Suno's pitch, right? Their whole thing is musicians don't like making music, so they'd rather type some shit in and get some garbage out, which is obviously
Oh
garbage.
yeah,
But
that's why I studied music my whole life, so I could just type a sentence in.
right, right. That's yeah, I mean, it's just such a brain dead. But I mean, CEOs, especially tech CEOs, are basically used car salesmen. They're just there to sell their product and their stock,
I
and
agree.
you cannot take their word for any bit of truth or value. They are just there to pump their stock. That's
Yep.
it. That's their
Yep.
job.
And
Which
look at the
fine,
state of Native Instruments, right? Look what happened there, right?
right?
They're,
Right.
and it's a story as old as time now. Private equity comes
Right.
in, creativity goes out, and that's it. But going back to your thing about, first of all, Christian Hansen is one of the greatest contributors, I'll say, to what we
Sure.
do. Like
Right.
hands down, he's one of the most important musicians of the 21st century, I would argue, because he put more music in the hands of people in a very authentic way that was not trying to be like, use my producer pack. It's like, I'm Christian Henson, I'm Paul Thompson, we're going to make this space better for everybody. And they really
Right.
did. And they did. And
Right.
Christian Henson is still doing it.
Yeah.
He's got his own authentic little, boutique, Crow Hill. And I got to say, I don't like the products. I've bought several of them and I don't like any of them. I don't use any of them. So I think his peak might have been Spitfire chamber strings. Because
Chamber strings will go down
I,
in music composing history for sure.
I agree.
Fire
He
chamber
he is
strings.
much more important than Paul Thompson, I would argue. And Christian Henson, I think, also brought in real authenticity into the whole everything. Like he was just straight, no nonsense. For me, he
Right.
was a little over the top, but he is one of the most
The marketing,
important
yeah.
people to contribute. So I guess, okay, but going back to this whole DAW thing about Christian Henson trying out Reaper and flirting with Reaper, I personally, I'm like, once something works, I'm very, very slow to pick up on, new things or try anything
Right.
new. I don't see myself like I tried out Logic 12 and nothing worked, so I had to go back to 11 because 12 has just been a total disaster in my opinion. Um, so, I mean, it's bad when you have to go back, roll back, because none of
Yeah.
your
A
hardware
full
works.
version, right?
Yeah, it's a full version, yeah, and not just
Right.
that. 11.2 didn't work. I'm on 11.1 now. Okay, that's how far back I had to go just to work with
Jeez.
all of this hardware on my desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing from 11.2 onward works with any of my hardware. The hardware doesn't compute, doesn't keep up, it doesn't understand what the fader is, it doesn't work, the automation does, it's horrible. Anyway, so for me, I am very happy to stay on my M1 Mac, 5-year-old Mac,
Right.
my 5-year-old Mac, my full version old. I'm very happy with all this stuff as long as I can sit down at my desk right here and make my music and
Right.
get paid for the music and the client is happy with the music. I will only make a change. So, for example, like I'll be fine even through Logic 11, Logic 13, Logic 14. I'll be fine. I'll stay here. I'll stay where I am. So for me, the only time I'm going to really make a change is probably when I buy a new Mac. Then I might have to I might have to upgrade everything at that point. But for now, I'm fine. But, I guess a lot of people love Reaper, like love Reaper. And I understand why, right? Because I'm a huge fan of two-track destructive editors, and Reaper combines a DAW with the same
Right.
functionality as a two-track destructive editor. I just think they're separate tools, right? So
Hmm.
you wouldn't use a jigsaw that has a hammer sticking out of it, and then when you need the hammer, that's how I view it. So hello Playboy Pika and trick question no
Hey,
one.
Playboy.
What else? Am I missing anything here? If AI generates a melody or artwork, who's the real artist, programmer, the user of the machine? Well, the answer is
We
humanity, I
don't
think,
know.
is the real artist, right?
Mm.
Because
Sure, but
humanity,
there
right?
is no legal framework to give credit to the AI. In fact, quite the opposite.
Right. Right. Because
So,
Spotify, took down all those AI tracks. There were a bunch that were uploaded. They started taking them down. But yeah, but like
it's such a
I
difficult question because how do you then define, like, okay, we are computers, essentially,
correct,
right?
correct.
And we ingest a bunch of information, right? We process it and we put it back out. Sometimes things we put out are brand new, are 100% ours. Most of the times, they're a synthesis of everything we've heard.
Right.
So, how do you then define? I created a machine. Let's say it's not a network, it's a robot, right? It's a single Android robot. At what point do you say its work is legitimate?
I
Ever?
I
Is there just because it has
well,
no
okay, so
blood or
let's
soul?
let's put it in the context of game music, okay? So I create music for my clients and they listen to the music and then they judge it and then they say, "Hey, this works perfectly for my game." I have one client in particular that will send me things that they made with AI through description and they will
Right,
say, "I want something like this." The day that we can judge that it is, let's call it, say, authentic or real or of merit and value, is the day it puts me out of work. Once once it puts me out of work, it is now completely legitimate. And the reason why is because the client puts it in the game and the players don't have a negative reaction and they keep
mm,
playing the game and there's no problem. So,
okay.
but here's the problem though. So, okay, in the 90s, for example, like the boy bands and the girl bands, like the Spice Girls and NSYNC and
Insane.
Backstreet Boys,
Backstreet Boys.
that's all AI, guys. That is AI. It just wasn't called AI. It just wasn't called that, but it was AI. They were literally formulaically designing songs
Yeah.
in
Engineered.
labs
Right.
to be as
Right.
they analyzed, but they human analyzed without computers. They were just like, all right, if we take this melody from the Beatles and then we combine it with some of Elton John's chords, boom, wow, we've got this mega, mega, mega hit, right? Max Martin is AI. He is AI because he wrote most of those hit songs, right?
Right.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know Max Martin, just look him up, man. I mean, he is just like probably the most. I think he's written more number one hits than basically anyone on planet Earth. My point is this: that the minute you start to aggregate and synthesize information into a formulaic system, that's AI. We're just doing
Right.
it
Right.
efficiently now, and we're
Right.
doing it with computers, and we're just making it
So
faster. And I
a
don't
lot
think,
of
by the
pop
way,
songs
sorry,
today.
I don't think that Logic is becoming an AI DAW. I disagree with that completely. I don't think it is.
Right.
But
Yeah. I don't think so
yeah,
either. I think there are some AI tools. But getting back to the number of songwriters, right, on a song today versus 40 years ago, right? You have like 15, 16, 17 songwriters on a single
right,
track. And that's the genetic engineering of the music, right? That's the like,
right.
going through like, okay, you are in charge of the bridge. Well, we don't have bridges anymore, but you are in charge of this section of the song, that the drop, the hook, the this, that, and you know, and they create these hit songs that
Well,
so
yeah, there's a saying in Nashville, write a
right at
word,
work.
get a third, right? And this the third refers to, a portion of the royalties, for example. So just one word, you get a third. I mean, it's a joke, but the joke is, yeah, that there are literally so many songwriters that, if you just even contribute one word,
So,
that's
but
some.
does that take away from it? Does the size of the project make it a worse or better song? Because if you have a movie, right, you some have, 1,000 plus people in the credits.
Right.
Right? Does that make the movie worse than if you just had one guy with a camera and a handful of actors? Well, okay.
Yeah, there's Apple. Apple is doing its thing.
Yeah, okay.
When you do this, Apple kind of goes
Yeah.
crazy. It's not doing it now. I can't make it do it. Oh well.
Maybe it's too soon. There it is.
Come on, Apple. You're making me look bad.
Oh, there you go.
All
Wow.
right.
Okay.
So, look, okay, let me ask everybody a question. In the chat, please respond. This new Bruno Mars hit, right? Um,
Which one?
da, 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 right? I didn't do it justice, but everybody knows it because it's viral right now.
I haven't heard it.
I don't know who wrote it. Maybe he wrote it. He's an amazing songwriter in his own right, by the way.
Right.
I mean, he goes back too in the industry. By the way, he was signed to Motown Records. They dropped him as an artist. They're just like, yeah, you're no good. Oops. Imagine being the guy who fired Bruno Mars from Motown
Yeah.
Records. My question is, did he write that song? No, he didn't. He just simply aggregated a bunch of other songs. By the way, you can find the videos that compare where he got his sources from and from what songs from the 70s.
Was he even involved? Because a lot of times they bring the song packaged, sung by another, random nobody,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
here you go, here's a
I
song for you to
listen.
let's do.
I literally know nothing about the story behind that song. My point is this: that you know when I do respect Bruno Mars, by the way, I think
Right.
Bruno Mars is the real fucking deal. There's literally not one bad thing you could ever say about him, except he has a bad gambling problem.
I was gonna say his debt might be it.
Yeah, because I think he lost like I don't know, like $150 million at like Bellagio. And now he's like the in-house act over there because that's the only way he can pay his debt back or
Pay
something
back.
crazy. I don't know. Maybe that's a rumor, but he's the real deal. Have you ever seen the guy fucking play drums?
Right.
Right? Like he can sing, he can play, he can write.
Right.
He wrote that
And he
big
can
hit.
perform.
What? Oh,
And he can
he's an
perform.
entertainer.
Yeah.
He's the
That
real
Super
deal,
Bowl halftime
guys.
he did like 10 years
He
ago was amazing.
he's the real deal. Okay. He goes back to like Kanan, you know, if anyone
Mm.
remembers Kanan, had that big hit during the Olympics, or was it the FIFA World Cup with Coca-Cola
Right.
waving like a flag. I forgot the song. Anyway, he was one of the songwriters on that. And he played percussion on it. And you know, like he's the real deal. However, his biggest current hit, whoever wrote it, let's just pretend that he wrote it by himself, or let's pretend that there were 10 songwriters. And let's pretend they're using some samples from the 70s, whatever. The point is, he is synthesizing all the information, and Bruno Mars is the aggregate talent. Let's call him the talent that is delivering all of that incredible music. And it's being delivered in a way that it has never been delivered before. You know, when you think about one of the most famous guitar intros of all time, right? More than a feeling. That's the lick is literally from that Boston song, More Than a Feeling. It's the same lick. In fact, I think it was in Argentina, not Trent, other genius, Trent Reznor, but Kurt Cobain trolled the audience because they were like harassing some girls in the front rows or whatever. And so they refused to play Smells Like Teen Spirit. And then he would do the lick and then everyone would go crazy. And then he'd be like, more than a feeling, just to troll the audience. But so the point is, all art grows through accretion. And that's, you know, Bruno Mars is taking the best of the best, man. You don't think he studied James Brown, the dance moves of James?
100%.
Prince, and who did Prince study? Also James Brown, right? So like everybody is taking from everybody. You think I didn't listen to Shostakovich when writing some of my big epic orchestral soundtracks, you know? And this was an interesting topic we once had on this about, you know, the originality behind Pac-Man World 2, you know, that there's nothing particularly amazing about the writing, but it's the way I put everything together just so, with a dial samba and with the super brass section, and just, you know, it just matched perfectly with the game. And I failed when trying to replicate something like that. And I think I always will to a certain regard, because actually the other day I just composed something really, really simple. And I thought, oh, this could have been like a Pac-Man theme, because there's a zeitgeist, right, that contributes to everything. This big Bruno Mars hit right now, you know, is...
Does anybody know the name of the song?
What?
I'm trying to find the song. I think JT's also trying to find the song.
Huge.
I haven't heard it.
Just type like Bruno Mars latest hit, but like don't do it on. It's where he's wearing the green suit. Does anyone know the name of that song? Too many cooks in the kitchen spoils the broth. Yep, I agree with that one, Nick. Oh God.
Oh, okay. I found the song. It's called I Just Might.
I Just Might. There you go. Yeah, I mean, this is a mega viral song right now, and everybody's going crazy over it. And it is brilliant. Even I listen to it, and I have to admit, it's just brilliant. But then, of course, you know, the haters are going to hate, right? And immediately they're like, oh, but he stole it from this artist from 1973, and he stole this from that artist.
When people say that.
And it's like, well, I stole the word hello from Thomas Edison, who said that is how the telephone should be answered, with the word hello. And then, oh, Lionel Richie wrote a song, that said, hello, is it me you're looking for? So
Right.
then where does it end, right? So, I mean, Twist and Shout, one of the biggest hits of the Beatles, wasn't written by the Beatles. So artists copy other artists. We steal, we copy, we imitate, we do it all,
100%. Right. Right. Where's my book? Here you go. If anybody wants to know about stealing, there's this book. I love this book. Steal Like an Artist. Um, and it literally talks about, it it's theft when you literally steal, when you copy. That's theft, right? When you
Yeah,
just word for word plagiarize. But when you rephrase something, nobody would say that that's plagiarism. That's you rephrasing something. Now, of course, when you write something, you're supposed to attribute and all that. But in music, in art, the idea of theft, I think, is a silly one. And only lawyers and family members of dead artists are the ones that care.
that's right. Because look at finally the lawsuits that Led Zeppelin is paying out to, the estates of all the, the Lead Belly Hopkins and
Yeah, the estates. Because no
Muddy
artist would ever
Waters.
sue.
Sorry?
I feel like no artist would ever sue on those grounds unless it's a
Nope.
real, like, blatant
Somebody,
copy.
I think it was Ariana Grande, sort of like basically almost carbon copied Pump It Up by
Mm,
Elvis Costello. And, he was interviewed about it and they were like, but it's your song. He's like, yeah, but it's fine. And they're like, but are you going to sue? He's like, no, he said it's art and art is meant to
right,
be shared. And
right.
artists are going to copy other artists and some are going to do it better. Some are going to do it worse. And so, look, you see, I think maybe like we should also talk about Hurt by Johnny Cash because it's no
Mm,
longer Trent Reznor's song. And he said it himself. He said, that is no longer my song. It's not mine. Now belongs to Johnny Cash. Because, Rick Rubin, wanted to produce Johnny Cash and said, let's do this song by Trent Reznor. It's a great song. And,
right.
Johnny Cash trusted, and because that's the basis of a relationship between an artist and a producer is trust. And we got one of the greatest covers. It's considered like the greatest cover of all time, you know?
Right.
And I agree. And the video, oh my God, is haunting, you know? So anyway,
The
going
question
back,
was, though, at what
yeah.
point does the mach can you consider the machine an artist? Is
I
there
don't think
ever
you
a point,
can.
do you think?
I don't think
So
you
we will
can
never
because,
have
okay, so look,
an artificial life form that humans will consider to be sentient.
look,
Where do you draw that line? How do you draw that line? Is there a line?
okay, so I'm going to hopefully answer the question and partially about the DAW and hear me out on this. So when I'm teaching my students, they all use different DAWs. And I've always
Okay.
said that teaching a DAW is one of the most useless kind of classes that you can teach because technology changes so fast and you shouldn't be
Right.
teaching the specifics of a piece of technology. You should be teaching concepts and ideas and let
Correct.
each person individually find their way of then expressing what they want to express with whatever technology that they want. So Logic does not make my music. I do not ever touch the producer packs. I do not touch the loops. I do not touch anything other than samples of musical instruments, right? I will use drum machines because they've become a part of culture now, like the 808 bass drop. I mean, somebody pointed out that I was doing 808 bass drops in one of the ocean levels of Pac-Man, and before it was
Right.
cool,
Right.
right? Like, wow, you were doing bass drops before it was cool. Well, it's because I grew up with, in the 70s and 80s, and I saw the birth of hip hop, and I heard that 808 bass, and that became part of my personal culture, right? So I think that um, I think that eventually, sure, yes, I think engineers will eventually make the perfect android. And I think that, some of these movies we see about the future and about, robots replacing everything, and even Blade Runner 2049, was it?
Right.
Right? Where, his personal assistant that he's in love with, like his home Siri, and superimposes her onto a prostitute, so he can make love to her. And, like
Right.
all this kind of stuff in a weird way kind of shows our sickness and our isolation, and how
Yeah.
lonely we all are. And it's a manifestation, that is an artistic manifestation of where we are and why we're doing all this weird fucking stuff. Like I'm sure in 100,000 years, there, if we're still around, they'll look back and be like, and they didn't even know what real love was, because they had to invent AI to like be companions and keep it. And, they made androids to perform sexual acts on people, and
Right.
because they were in loveless marriages. And so, like I think they're going to look back at us and they're going to laugh their fucking asses off. So do I think that AI or androids, or, passing the Turing test, as it were,
Right.
all of these things, or reaching singularity, all of this, the sort of things that are being predicted and happening and attempted to happen now, I really believe still that AI is just a super aggregator, and that's it.
Right.
Like it's a super aggregator, and it's just aggregating all the culture that has existed up until now. It will do its best to predict the future trends, but it's not gonna. No, I think we're always gonna need the Wizard of Oz, right? The person
Yeah.
behind the screen
Someone.
pushing
Yeah.
the levers and
Human
the
in the
buttons.
loop.
I think it's all got to
Right.
come. I mean, like Bobby, you're a programmer, so you know this, right? That there are bits of code out there, and you can just, you can download the pieces that you need to, achieve whatever I need a line for, that's going to do this, and then I'm going to need a line that's going to do that. Sorry, my mic is acting a little funny here. So I don't understand why. Because, okay, there we go. Better. So you understand, right? You can pick and choose, but you're the human programmer. So
Right.
you're picking and you're choosing, and you're saying, why am I going to write a unique line of code when all I'm trying to do is put a button here that is going to just do this? Like there's literally no reason to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's that all the humans that are making Grok and Anthropic and ChatGPT and Gemini, I think they're all basically Oz behind the curtain, working the levers of AI to try to deliver something with the worst intentions of possible, which is profit. They all want to make money off it, And
Right.
I don't think they want it. You think Google really wants to help humanity?
No, there's the bottom line. I mean, okay, I think they're the researchers who went and got their PhDs in this. Yes, I think those people have a genuine desire. I don't know if it's to help humanity, but but there's a genuine desire to accomplish something, not just make money off of it. The people who are funding them only care about money, and they will burn the entire planet to the ground in search of it. And they are.
Yeah.
So,
So I got to answer Jasmine, because I think she said maybe the most important true statement of the evening. So I want to highlight it. Jasmine says, "Are we consuming too much content and experiencing too little?" Question mark. Yes. Full hard stop. Yes. This is why there's a popular saying now, go out and touch grass, like that we are literally glued to our screens. And so Jasmine, yes. And I think that especially the younger generations out there who, 80% of their social interactions are behind a screen, right? It's so sad. And I mean, look, maybe it's a little hypocritical because, I'm behind a screen right now, but talking with Jasmine, who's behind a screen. But I suppose Jasmine is here because she presumably enjoyed the soundtrack to Pac-Man World 2, and that's what brought her here in the first place. That is an experience. So I think gaming is a real and very authentic experience that I believe can be very addictive, and just sort of immediately go into the center of our dopamine systems. And I think it can be very destructive, but like everything in moderation, including moderation, as they say,
Right.
so, like, sure, have that one day where you sit for 12 hours, having an amazing session of Halo, but don't do that every day of your life. Yeah. So I think, like, I think that, and I'm guilty of this as well, that we all, as human beings, we have our, zone of comfort, and we are very sort of hesitant to go outside of that zone of comfort. But that is usually where the most interesting experiences in life will happen, is
Right.
outside of that, you stay in your comfort zone, you do the same thing every day and you're safe and everything's comfortable. It's like not much interesting
That's
is going to happen.
boring.
Right.
Boring.
Right. And
Somebody, I
so,
had heard somebody say it.
right.
Interest. Go out and do interesting things because interesting people write interesting music. And
That's,
and I
you gotta do a YouTube short of that, Bobby, of you saying that.
I'm not the person who said it. I forgot who said it, but I might be paraphrasing a little bit too. But I that has stuck with me
That's a great
because
one.
when all you have is your little surrounding, and I think it's true for
That's such a
any
good
form of
saying.
expression.
That's a
I
wonderful expression. One of
I'll
my
have to find
favorites,
who.
which is the opposite, is, only boring people get bored, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think, look, I'll give you a very good example. So, my girlfriend and I, once a week, we order out, and we decided, instead of our regular shift, like sometimes we'll do smash burger, that's like sort of gourmet smash burger. Pizza obviously is in a regular rotation. In a blue moon, we'll do Indian because she's not crazy for it, but we'll do
Okay.
Chinese on the regular, sushi on the regular. And so we're just like, hey, you know what? There's a Greek place. Why don't we try that? Let's go outside of our comfort zone. And I'm like, yeah, let's try that. Now, for those that don't know, I love to cook. And actually, a lot of composers are generally really good at cooking because they sort of understand balance and ingredients and combinations, textures. And so I make a damn good hummus and a damn good baba ganoush, man. And,
Okay.
and there's a special place in Rome where I get my tahini paste. It's all
Nice.
like written in like Arabic, and, and it's delicious. And I make a mean hummus. So we ordered the Greek, and of course I want to try their hummus because I love hummus. And it was the most delicious hummus I ever thought I tasted. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the best I ever, it's better than mine. And so my point is, it was the experience of going outside of the comfort zone. And guess what I'm going to do? Oh, snap, Paula. I'm in big trouble. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I just realized something. We're going live on stream here, you guys, and you're all going to get to see this. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm so sorry. Holy cow. Um, hey, baby, I'm actually recording this on a live stream. I am so sorry. I totally forgot about dinner. Please forgive me. And can you please save me and redeem me in the eyes of the audience and make a statement in an audio recording that says he's really not a bad guy? But he is human. Anyway, baby, I'm so sorry. I just forgot, and I have no excuse, and I apologize. If you can, maybe just pick something up or text me back, and maybe I'll order something. But I am really sorry. By the way, that is called accountability, something we've
Yeah.
lost.
I fucked up.
I mean, it's really incredible how I fucked up and I apologize. And I said, I'm sorry. I didn't say I'm sorry if, right? The ultimate sort of negator of any statement, you know, like, I'm sorry if that's a
you
problem.
feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if it's a problem for you. It's like, yeah, no, you're not sorry. Now I will, it's because all this for hummus, right? So I tasted the hummus. I was supposed to make her hummus. That was the thing, and prepare dinner. And we had, anyway, so I messed up. So I tasted this hummus and I was supposed to do it today, but I'm going to do it tomorrow for Valentine's Day, which I didn't forget. I already have gifts. And my girl, well, anyway, that's a whole other issue, but not issue thing. But the point is, when I tasted the hummus, I thought, because my secret ingredient is balsamic vinegar in the hummus. Not a lot, but just enough. It's an accent, like a very subtle one. And it just does something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, this hummus, I tasted white vinegar, which I never even thought to try. But they literally put a lemon peel or like a half lemon slice in the center. And then, yeah, I think there's white vinegar. Anyway, I'm being forgiven by the people on the stream here. Thank you, Joseph, for no apologies. I forgive you, David. Oh, wow. All right. Well, I feel better because I've been forgiven. So but the important person in my life that I interface with every single day, that's a horrible word, isn't it? That I interface with. Anyway, that came out weird. That's the person I need to forgive me. But anyway, yeah. So I think we do not experience enough things. I think that everybody, I think I'm going to say at epidemic levels, because loneliness is at an all-time high. All the research, all the science is in, all points to the same thing. The more we use social media, more anxious and depressed. It is the worst amongst teenage girls. They're like the worst affected by social media. The cyberbullying that happens is like we've never had this, because, you know, it used to be that if you were an asshole and you were a bully, you faced a possible consequence of, like, you know, the person you're picking on could have turned around and punched you in the, getting exactly. Right. Well, that's gone now. We can just do all the mean stuff without, and it's horrible, you know, and the idea of reputation destruction that people, it happened to me. Oops. It happened to me, by the way. I told you about it, Bobby, with that network thing. Right. Yeah. So, like,
this anonymous
this idea of people being anonymous and hurting you and trying, not just that, trying to destroy your business. People are awful, you guys. And
it amazes me when I see some comments on YouTube and stuff. Like, I don't even take the time to write a comment. I mean, never, very, very rarely to say something nice, right? I won't even be like, listen, this was a great video. It really helped. That's not me. It amazes me that people take the time to write something mean.
Well, and remember,
they feel compelled to say some awful thing about somebody
just
because they put a fucking video.
I am the official enemy of music theory, don't forget, right? So remember,
oh right, oh, shit, I forgot about that guy.
I won't say his name, but he knows who he is. But, you know, the point is the amount of time, hatred, pure hatred, that went into writing those emails, and the vitriolic acidity and just pure hatred, and the time and the effort and to make the insults that he made to me. It's just like. And literally, I just gave up. I'm just like, yeah, well, you know, that's, I feel so sorry for him. I actually feel sorry for him, you know, that anybody needs to go to, that anyone needs to go to such a level to try to cause another person pain, you know, even feeding on the fact that publicly I have admitted that I'm a very insecure person. You know, most artists are, you know, and he stuck his fangs into that one. And just the worst of the worst. Like, anyway. So,
Right.
yeah, Jasmine, I think people need to go and experience more things. I think that,
Put your phone down. Keep your phone
yeah,
down, man. You know,
put,
I was in the line at the pharmacy at Costco picking up some medication for my dog, and I was watching the people because I love people watching. It's one of my
yeah,
favorite things. I watch everybody. I'm fascinated by people. Like I don't know, and every single person, it's like 15 people in line, and everybody was like this,
yeah,
just their head down in their own bubble, being personally fed little pieces of genetically engineered crap to keep them scrolling to the next one.
you know, I mean, I've heard some
You know,
people say that, our internet technology is not really anything new because, shopping online, well, you used to have the, Sears catalog and your yellow
sure,
pages, right? So,
sure.
and the idea, so
QVC.
if you look at like, there's some very famous photographs of, oh my God, what was his name? Ethelstein, this famous photographer. Anyway, he has some of these photos on the New York subway systems in the 1940s and 50s, and you just see everybody with their New York Times, and everybody's got a paper in front of their face. So,
Right.
is it really that new? Aren't people doing the same thing, reading the New York Times paper while on the subway and not talking to each other and not interacting with
Right.
each other?
Right.
Now, well, hold on. I just got to finish the thought. What is new is the social replacement element. So, in other
Right.
words, people put the paper down. It was just a way to pass time on the train, and they got home and they talked with their families, right? And
Yeah.
so, but it's ridiculous with my own girlfriend. I'll say, can you, we sort of have a joke, she's like, oh, or, do you want to have coffee? And I'm like, well, it just depends if you want to bring your phone or not.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she also knows that I will not start a movie or show unless the phone is face
There you
down.
go.
I
Right.
literally will not do it.
Yeah.
And she knows, and bring her off face down. Because literally it's a distraction to me if all of a sudden I'm watching a movie and then something lights up from a notification. I hate it. It breaks the entire point of the movie, which is immersion and escape.
Right.
Like I want to just be rooting for Luke Skywalker, that he blows up the Death Star. Like I don't want to then realize, oh wait, I'm on Earth.
Right.
I'm not on the Endor forest moon, um, trying to blow up the next Death Star. So I think, yeah, I don't know. God, the world is in such a strange place, you guys. It really is. And but wait, we were supposed to talk about DAWs, and I never got to talk about
We can
smart
we,
controls, and
we can
I'm
we can
feeling
bring
sore
that
about
right
that.
back to the smart control, right?
Can we get back to
How
DAWs and can we
how
talk about
amazing it
smart
is to
controls?
sit here and talk about this. Yeah, let's
Thank
talk about
you.
smart controls
Thank you,
and
Bobby.
how well it controls
So,
the Juno for you.
but it does go
But
back.
more,
It does, well, it goes back to our conversations about where I am with logic overall and
right?
my slowness to adopt technology. See, to me, technology is only there to solve a problem that I'm having. So, my problem before was I just had one mouse and I could only move one thing at one time. And
Right.
now I can move as many as I have fingers, right? So, oh, thank you, Bobby. And
Mm.
so, I can balance the level of my kick, my snare, my hi-hats, and then my overheads very, very quickly and easily. And I don't have to use a mouse. So that solved a massive problem. If I need to look at my, EQ, for example, I press one button here, my entire EQ is right there. If I need to go to my compressor. So this behaves, and oh, you know what I can do? I can even, maybe I'll do, wait, give me 1 second here, because I can do this a little bit better even. That will make more sense for everybody, which is to do this. So, as I was showing you,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, like now I can do this. I can do this, right? I can move multiple things at one time, right? With my hands, I can control here 6 different things. Wait, there we go. So, you know, all independently. You can't see the other one, but anyway, that's fine. So I can do all that. And then if I need to see my EQ, oh, let's bring this in front where you guys can also see it. So I can see that. I can push another button and get my compressor. I can push another and get my saturation. And boom, it's beautiful. And so for me, I solve problems. So with my MKS80, I had a massive problem, which was that the MKS80, oops, where are we here? There we are. Oops, oh, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes. So the MKS80 was invented 1 year after MIDI was invented. So this ancient synth behind me came out a year after the invention of MIDI. So it has MIDI on it, but it does not have MIDI CC. There was no such idea of MIDI CC yet. For those that don't know, MIDI CC is control change. And it's basically parameters like everything from volume to reverb and expression and modulation and all these basic functions that everybody agreed upon. You know, Korg and Roland and Moog, and everybody said, all right, we're going to make this the standard, the general MIDI standard. So, so this uses its own, it's called system exclusive, meaning it's only for the MKS80 and no other system can understand it. So for me, you know, I do everything with my hands. I need to do everything with my hands. And so I'm a very tactile person, and that's why there's also, you know, oops. You'll see a lot of hardware on my desk, you know, because I like to move things, and, you know, here I am and I can do this and I can, you know, put my hands over here. And then this guy, which is my main, you know, let's see if we can get a better angle. There we go. This is like my main controller now. And this guy, you know, it's fully automated and motorized, and anything I need, I can get on here because I discovered for the very first time Logic smart controls, and this became an answer for me. So for those that use Logic, and this is nothing new, it's been around a long time, every single device has this thing. Oh wait, are we in the right? No, we're not. Let's go. Here we are. So these are called Logic smart controls, and long story short, there's a developer, an obvious MKS lover, who basically made a complete layout. And let's go to Roland and MKS80. We'll go filters. So this guy made this incredible plugin that completely maps out every single feature and function of the MKS80, my most beloved synth. Why is this? That's really strange. Uh-oh. I hope I don't have a dead plug-in here. Oh, there we go. It's just taking its sweet time. So there's this plugin now that I have that maps out the MKS80. So, and by the way, you see this up here? It's going berserk. It's because there's like a MIDI feedback loop. This is one of the issues about the MKS80 with its system exclusive and not having MIDI CC. Anyway, very long story short, I literally just recently learned about smart controls, and these smart controls always pop up and I never knew what they were for. And I was always like, well, I love my MIDI CC and I use MIDI CC for absolutely everything. What are these for? Well, what I came to learn is that one of the devices on my desktop, specifically this guy right here, this is the Nectar CS12, Control Strip 12, and the Panorama CS12. And this guy has 12, you can't really see them. Let's see if you can see. Ah, here we go. Perfect. You can see. So this guy has 12 knobs on it. There are 12 knobs, and they perfectly correspond to the smart controls, which I did not realize. And so now, actually, this is even better if you see it this way. In a way, it's better because you get a better view. So now, for example, if I go back here and let's just say, not that I would ever do this, but well, let's see here. Let's just open up we'll just open up an EQ and a compressor. I say I would never do this because they don't actually talk to each other in real life, but just to show you how much I love smart controls now. So yeah, if I need to go to my, let's say my EQ, or I need to go to my compressor, it will map itself to that, and it will then allow me, as you see here, I'm make bigger gestures here, it'll allow me to control perfectly my EQ using all of the rotary knobs here, these 12 knobs that exist. So now that still doesn't talk about smart controls, but it does allow me, for example, if I want to go to my compressor, and it very elegantly lays out every single feature on the compressor. So the reason I love smart controls is it basically maps itself to this physical hardware device, and then allows me to manually assign things to be able to control them. So I have this button here, which will basically open and close the smart controls. And then I can literally assign, because the point was, okay, so the whole point of how I got into this was I was trying to assign some of my existing sliders and controllers here. I was trying to use Logic's learn function, and I was trying to get it to learn, but it doesn't accept any learn functions. What's worse is it doesn't accept any touch automation. This plugin was written by, like a single person who probably just wrote it as an open thing for any DAW, so not specific to Logic. So I was in a bit of a pickle because I couldn't assign any of these amazing features and controls. I couldn't assign them to any of this hardware that you see here on my desktop. So I wanted to be able to control filters and things, right, with these MIDI controllers. And I couldn't do it no matter what I did. And that accidentally kind of led me, I kept thinking about solutions, and I was researching and reading, and then I don't know how I got into it, but I remembered this guy, and I remember it naturally mapped itself to another plugin that also did not accept any kind of MIDI learn. And I remember it just elegantly, perfectly. And I just thought, well, if it did it with that, it's got to be able to do it with this guy right here, the MKS80. And it turned out I was right. So without boring you with all the technology stuff, now I can literally go over to my CS12 here, and you can see now the smart controls, they're all assigned to control the most important functions, resonance and cutoff in the MKS80. And by the way, this is actually changing on the physical hardware device here. Like, for example,
That's the amazing part.
like if I turn off all that, and I now, you see, I'm not touching the MKS80, right? I'm reaching over here, and I'm going to tweak the cutoff. Watch what happens to the MKS80. See those lights all going on? Actually, specifically where my finger is right here, that's called MIDI message. And anytime I tweak this, you can see it goes on, right?
Yeah.
So this box and all this modern hardware, through the incredible technology that we have, now they can all talk together. So now when I tweak this guy here, it goes to that plugin, and the plugin, by the way, the plugin is converting all of these commands into the system exclusive message that is then being received by the hardware unit. And if you look up here, Logic is going bananas, out of its mind crazy. So normally, okay, and by the way, let's bypass this so it doesn't go crazy. Normally, if I do something with any kind of a MIDI CC, you'll see there's CC number 1, now CC 11, right? So you can see 1, you can see 11. I also have MIDI CC number 3 and 9, which are the new Roland standards for their plugins. But I also have 74 and 71, which is the old standard for cutoff and resonance for the physical hardware. So once Roland and everybody else adopted MIDI CC, then they
Right.
agreed on certain things being, this is going to be for the sustain pedal, this will be for pan, this will be for volume. So anyway, so yeah, so now that I've discovered all this is the fun part. I realized I don't need a lot of the hardware that was on my desk. So, for
Mm.
example, this green machine over here used to be actually where the CS12 is now. It used to be here. If you look
Right.
at the old streams, you will find it exactly here. Well, now this has become so important to me. I used to control this with my left hand, but I'm now using it as a synth controller. Okay. Usually I'll play something with the left hand and tweak with the right hand. That's kind of why the Roland was here before. And anyway, so now, yeah, it literally completely changed my desktop setup. Everything got changed on my desktop. So yeah, if you look at older streams, and I brought this back also. I brought this back, the virus, just because it's such a unique piece of technology. And
Right.
I love the virus, like in ways it's kind of hard to explain how much I love the virus. So yeah, I just felt like I kind of missed it. It's sort of like my R2D2, it's like right by my side, and it perfectly controls the plugin. And I don't use it often, but when I do, I'm really glad it's there. So yeah, that's where I am at with DAWs. Now, to sort of close off the DAW talk here, I will probably never switch from Logic, and the reason why is the company that makes my DAW, Apple, also makes my motherboard and makes my computer and makes my OS and literally makes absolutely everything that makes my entire life work. Like literally my whole life is built around Apple, So I mean, even if I order something, some food, I mean, I do it on my iPhone, and if I pay for dinner, I do it on my Apple Watch, So I am sort of permanently in that. And there is literally nothing more stable than Logic in terms of a DAW. The only thing that ever crashes Logic are third-party plugins that are poorly written, So far, this MKS80 has been a champ, though. I haven't had any problems with it yet. So the plugin I got to control the MIDI SysX. And by the way, this guy is a really old MIDI mixer, you can think of it. It was a CC controller, but it also could do MKS80 SysX. And this was like sitting, collecting dust. And anyway, I broke it out again because I realized how powerful of a device this was. And yeah, even Christian Henson had one back in the day. And yeah, for a while he was using Monogram. And then now I think he's using some boutique company that makes like this sort of in a wooden box. And because I remember he had this whole thing on controllers,
Yeah.
and he's like, and right now I'm trying out the Monogram CC, and you will understand whether or not I like it and keep it, because if you don't see it in the coming weeks, then, and we didn't see it. I love the Monogram because it's modular. Anyway, by the way, they're a scam company now. Like, do not buy them.
Yes, do not buy.
They are just, it's devastating. You don't know how many of my students who bought the Monogram because of me, and literally they, like Phoebe Joy, because I kept singing the praise of Monogram, and she ordered and she got her first one, and she's like, oh my God, it's great. And it's modular. I'm going to order a whole bunch more packs. That was like 4 years ago, and never got them. Poor Phoebe. Aw. Anyway, so I don't know. Did that, this is a good one though. Sorry?
Well, I was going to say, in response to Jasmine's question, I was going to bring it up.
Just about
how
to
the
read
DAW
it.
influences
Yeah.
the way you compose. And I was going to say that I think the DAW should be ideally as transparent as possible for
Correct.
the composer.
That's right.
And whatever tool, whatever shape tool you use, as long as it works for you and as long as you
Correct.
make music, you're good. with
Yep.
one caveat: fuck Pro Tools. But everything else um, is good to
You got
go.
to say that with more vigor. Fuck Pro Tools.
Right?
You need an emphasis on that
That
K.
is a
I
piece of
mean,
shit. But
yeah,
everything
because
else, you know,
and they're done. They're done. Like
right.
it's over for them. Like, they'll always be around for post audio and
Yeah, for
commercial
some
recording
god
facilities,
awful
but
reason. Yeah.
the whole industry moved on. I do not know a single person that uses Pro Tools. Not even one.
Yeah.
Have you ever met anyone who's like, yeah, man, I do
I know
everything
one
on?
person. I know one
Okay.
person who does
Yeah,
all
but
their music,
you
all
live
the
in Los
production.
Angeles, so it's a little more likely in LA.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that I had to use Pro Tools for one of my classes. And in fact, I took the class because I was going on a trip and I thought this would be the easiest class because it's just how to use Pro Tools.
Mm.
And I had to load it up again and it was just it's archaic. They haven't updated it. It doesn't work on high DPI screens at all. The text is this big. It's just garbage. And I don't understand how, I guess the friction of moving to another platform for people have kept those people there, and that's how they're
Well,
still around.
when Pro Tools was under the banner of DigiDesign, the original
Right.
company that invented it, it was fantastic. I had a Pro Tools, everybody had a Pro
Everybody.
Tools
Yeah.
rig. And like
You
actually
weren't
just
somebody
today,
if you
I
didn't
told you
have Pro Tools.
sorry, go on.
I said you weren't somebody if you didn't have Pro Tools
Well,
in
exactly.
that era.
Nobody
Like
took
you
you
had to have.
seriously unless you
Right.
had, there were like a few sort of key pieces of gear that if you didn't have them, like no one took you seriously. So your Pro Tools rig with a TDM card installed, you needed I'm sorry, I'm pointing and I should talk about what I'm pointing. You had to have the Eventide H3000, a rack of lexicons. You needed a DBX 1A compressor, some kind of a tube compressor. I had the Drummer 1960. And yeah, like, yeah. And now doesn't even matter. No, you're in some ways it's kind of better because now you're literally just, I guess you're a little bit judged on what plugins you buy. You know what I mean? Like when you buy the Abbey
Mm,
Road orchestra, it's sort of
sure.
like, oh, wow. Oh, you go, cool, um,
Right.
right? Or, back in the day when people, used waves a lot more than now, you bought the Mercury bundle, which is like
Right.
50 or
Right. You had to have the
60,000,
whole. Right.
and that was it. Yeah. So, do the limitations inside a DAW help your creativity? You know what, Jasmine? It's a fantastic question. And one of these days, I'm going to do a full showcase of Pitfall 3D. Now, you're probably wondering, what
Oh,
does that
there you
have to
go.
do with a DAW? And the answer is
Right.
nothing.
Oh no.
But the reason I'm going to talk about it is that, Stravinsky, I'm paraphrasing, he wrote a whole paragraph about it, and it boiled down to the following statement. Composition is a puzzle that I create and then I solve. And the more limitations that I place upon myself, the more creative I become.
Right.
So, okay, anyone who is a composer, take C sharp and B natural. Only those two notes and compose a full piece of music. Only two notes. You can do anything you want, any melody, any rhythm. You will find out how decent of a composer you actually are when you try to compose an entire composition with only two notes. You will find out. So you're limited to two intervals, a major second and a minor seventh, and that's it. That's all you got. Find out. Those are
New challenge.
incredible draconian limitations. But Jasmine, the idea of the DAW now, in some ways, is unfortunate. I would say in the old days there were limitations, yeah, that spawned creativity, and the Pitfall 3D soundtrack is a very good example of this. And because I was only given each level, real world, 400 kilobytes of RAM sample time. And back then, you would have a rack of like 10 to 20 samplers, each of which had 32 megabytes of RAM, right? And so given 400 kilobytes, literally it's like impossible. And I did it.
Right.
They were the worst, most restrictive. I actually thought Activision was joking with me. They're like, yeah, so we're going to be starting off on level 3, and you've got 397 kilobytes of RAM. I'm like, oh, John, you're really funny. That's really funny. No, really, how much RAM do I have? 397 kilobytes of RAM. And then I was just like, I already cashed the bonus, the signing bonus. I'm stuck here now, you know. But so I think now DAWs are limitless. There are no limits in a DAW. That they're sort of designed
Right.
that way, right? And so I think that I don't know. I guess, you know. So the answer is no. A short answer is no. But I want to, you know, just quickly, you know, point out your other comment, Jasmine. That kind of hatred almost destroyed Christian Henson. Yeah, I,
It's a crazy time.
it is unreal, and I think the problem with this idea of people and their hatred is the world has become more polarized now than I think it's ever been. And I think that the toxicity, and I don't give a crap what side of the political aisle you are on, because it is identical, man. They
Right.
are all equally evil. They are all equally dishonest. But I think there is a group of people somewhere in there. I like to think that Bobby and I are in that group. That no matter how, and Bobby and I get into it sometimes, man. Like sometimes we get heated,
Right.
but we
Yeah.
listen and we are prepared and we fundamentally like each other even when we disagree. And I think the problem now is that people are so polarized that they are just like, my way is right, your way is wrong. And it's because this person and this person and this person said so. And I believe these people, therefore I'm also right. And I want to prove that I'm right, you know? And I think this is the problem. Yeah. And what happened to Christian, like, I would describe Christian Henson as being one of the most kind and lovable. Like, I think he's adorable. Like, how can you not want to hug the guy when you hear him talk, you know? And, you know, when you think about what drove him out of, you know, Spitfire, it was just because he loves his children and wants to protect
Yeah.
them. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Forget
Right.
the
He was
politics.
afraid for his
Forget.
children.
Listen,
Afraid for how the
listen.
world would end up
Yeah,
for his children.
I believe in human rights for literally every human on the planet, no matter what you identify with, no matter how you present,
Right.
no matter what your ideology is. Everybody should have human rights that we uphold and defend, and that we try and protect each other from everything,
Absolutely.
even the people we disagree with. Like,
More
in
so
some
for them
ways,
because
especially.
you never know.
What's that?
And more so for them because you never know when
Literally,
yeah. The law
timestamp
is designed
this.
to protect the weakest of us, and you know,
You timestamp this moment, because literally Bobby and I said this. I said especially as he was saying more so. And I agree. And that's why Bobby and I are friends, because in this way we share the same point of view. That, yeah, it is, and it goes to that I forgot, some civil rights activist in the 60s. I don't know her name, but she said, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will fight to the death to defend your right to say it. You know,
Same.
that we should be allowed to, like Christian Henson should be able to say whatever he wants to say. He should be able to want to, you know, protect his kids from what he feels was something that was just, he didn't want his children to be exposed to. That's his right. He's a parent. He's got that right. So he should not be destroyed for it. It's tragic. And so, yeah, the world. Oh man, we can't end on a bad note, Bobby. Say something
No, we
positive.
okay. I think the most positive thing I can say is that music is the thing we go to when we feel sad. Music is the thing we go to when we feel happy. Music is the universal language. And as long as we have music, genuine human music, I think most things can be overcome. because it's the music that can bring people together. And it does, right? If you
It
go to a
does.
concert, you see people that you wouldn't necessarily associate yourself in that group, but you're like, huh, that person appreciates this kind of music, and so do I.
You're right.
So,
And it goes across cultures. It goes across all barriers that we know. It's so yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say, and it was well said, Bobby. And congratulations for saying it. It's a really nice thing to say. Yeah. And just quickly on JT Ska, yeah, I think that Paul Thompson, you know, talented guy, but he has the personality of a cardboard box. Okay, about the same personality.
poor Paul.
Poor Paul, poor Paul. But Christian Henson, in my personal opinion, was the soul. He was the soul of Spitfire.
Yeah.
And but it's amazing that if you surround yourself around the right group of talented people, which Paul Thompson, very talented guy, no question, and the team at Spitfire and the infrastructure that supported,
Right.
they could do no wrong for a while, right?
Yeah.
And now they suck. I'm sorry. They just, what have they done? I never use the Abbey Road Studio Orchestra or whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of useless, honestly. And so, you know, but the thing is, I don't think Crow Hill's doing much of anything, man. You know, I don't like any of their stuff. And I'm a drummer percussionist, and I bought their Concussion, whatever it was. I don't like it, you know, but going back to the human connection of music, yes, it is called the universal language for a reason, right? And it does bring people together. And how many times have you heard the following statement? That music saved my life.
I can't even count.
Million bazillion times, right? That got me through my nasty divorce. That I was going to commit suicide, but then I heard the song and it made me, you know, choose the beauty of life. Like, music has a healing power that no other form of art actually has, in my, like, nobody says, oh, I looked at a Joseph Turner painting and it just saved my, you know, nobody says that about a Joseph Turner. Right? Nobody says that about a Botticelli, you know, but hearing, you know, the aria in G by Bach from the orchestral suites, that has a healing power to my soul, man. It's one of the most beautiful, perfectly written pieces of music ever written. When I hear Adagio for Strings, Samuel Barber, that is one of the most perfectly written pieces for the string orchestra ever, of all time, hands down. And yet the English beat, which, by the way, JT Ska, what do you see right there in the corner? Yep, the English Beat box set. That's right. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. There it is, the English Beat box set. So this band literally saved my life. And it's why it is proudly displayed on top of my Yamaha speaker. You know, so because I wouldn't be sitting here. I would never have become a drummer, which I would have never been a composer if not for that damn band right there. That's what made me become a musician, and then led me to be a composer. So yes, music. Whoo, yeah, man. It's a beautiful thing.
It's why we're all here, right?
What's that? That's why we're all here. Yes, indeed, indeed. Absolutely.
Together. And
good stuff, man. So anybody there in the chat, I'm so sorry if I didn't get to all the comments, but
I think we got to,
oh my god, we said it at the same time. Yeah, man. That's because we're all of like equal minds here. We all think about the same things in the same way. I like to think that as a group of people, we all share. I hope as a group, we're all those reasonable humans in the middle that are willing to listen to the people that we disagree with, more so and especially so the people we disagree with, and protect them, you know, because everybody deserves protection.
As long as they're genuine. As long as they're genuine, because there's a lot of grifters out there.
That's true. You know. And a lot of people that feed upon the current climate. It's true.
Right.
It's true. Yeah. But this is the thing. This is why when people say, "Oh, I'm not judging," yes, you are.
But
And
yeah,
the minute you say, "I'm not
right,
judging," you are judging. Not to judge, but yeah, the but. The
right,
point is, we need judgment. We make judgments every fraction of a second,
right.
basically. You know, I'm composing. I have to make a judgment. Should I stay in C minor? Maybe I want to modulate to, A flat minor, and then, I don't know, go to, F sharp minor seven, whatever. Those are all judgments in real time.
Right.
You know, um, I'm terrible about reading the chat. I'm never very good at that. So I have to make the judgment. Do I keep on saying, or do I try and look into the chat of all the comments? Whose should I? That's judgment.
Right.
We are using judgment. And I think that, they say don't judge a book by its cover. And that's a very wise thing, but I wouldn't say that you should remove all judgment, right? Like, I think that judgment has a place in the world, right? So,
Because we
like,
don't have a choice. Yeah. I mean, we
yeah,
have
like,
to.
yeah, and so, like like I said before, like sometimes Bobby and I, we get into it, and our discussions get kind of heated, and not many times, but I can probably count 2 or 3 times where I just said to Bobby, I said, "Whoa, whoa, we got to pipe this one down, man, because well, but that's a judgment call. It's in that
Right.
moment that I'm saying, you know what, these things are, really, bothering me, and I value our friendship, and I don't want to, be in a situation where I feel uncomfortable. And he respects that. And he's just like, yeah, man. And it would go the other way. If he shut something down, I would be, show the same respect. And I think that I once said this on the stream that, the world can be divided into certain groups of people. There's the person that, like, even when someone tries to shut it down, they're like, no, I have to be right. I have to make my point. No, I'm going to keep going because I know I'm right. And the people that need to prove that they're always right are usually people who are alone and suffer in life. And then
Yeah.
those like Bobby, who can just be respectful and be like, oh, well, yeah, man, we can pipe it down. Sure. No problem. Right. And those people are generally happy. I mean, maybe we have other issues, but it's not from trying to sort of prove ourselves always to be right,
Right.
because I would, well, like what I said about, dinner to my girlfriend, like, I am sorry, I fucked up, I messed up, so you know what, before she gets here, I think we should cut the stream so I can at least order dinner.
There you go.
There you
That's a
go.
good idea.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Nick. Yes, I'm very happy that Bobby's my partner and that he's a part of this amazing Orb Soundworks experience. And yeah, man. So
Me too.
let's see. Would it mean nothing? And you just immediately move on if you got assigned a new partner and Bobby was pulled out of your life at the draw. Why would you even say that, Nick? But anyway, I don't want to think about that. Bobby's not going to get yanked out of my life at the drop of a hat. I'd be sad. I would miss him, and Orb would go on. But for now, he's
Here,
here,
man.
and hopefully,
I'm not going anywhere.
and well, I was going to say, and hopefully he's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. In the future. You know what, I will, I don't know, maybe every couple of months just kind of check in with Bobby and be like, how's it
Right.
going? Like how, because he's, now it's over a year he's been with us, and I do it because, my relationships, I value very, very much that I have with people. And I can be a bit much for people to handle, because I'm kind of a crazy, fucked up musician with issues, lots of them. And so that's why the important people in my life, I check in with them. Also, Manuele, the other partner in Orb, do the same thing with my girlfriend. I check in. I'm just like, hey, are we good? Are we okay? Am I doing anything that's pissing you off? Am I doing anything that could permanently rupture the relationship. And if the answer is ever yes, then we talk about it, you know?
Not having dinner ready.
Right. Not exactly. So I better go. I better go, you
better
guys.
go.
I better go.
Right.
So, Anyway, yes, it
Thank
was
you
a
guys
great
for-
stream today. Thank you guys. Thank you all. And yeah, Bobby, thank you as always. And thank you to everybody in the stream.
Yes.
You're all appreciated. And we will see you next week. And until then, like I always say, oops, no, wrong button. Sorry. Ruined the moment. I think the purpose of life is to find some purpose in life, and the meaning of life is to find some meaning in life.